Anthony Milton here, CEO of the Manly Salon, Martinis and Manicures, the Women's Retreat, and Balanced Foods. Got Mr. Wes Priest here, Wes Priest franchise owner, Austin Market, also district manager for tune-up for the San Antonio, Austin, Waco, and Amarillo markets. Made a calculated risk today to open up 2 locations under what was the approval of the Montgomery County judge.
I'm Mark Keough, and I'm your Montgomery County judge. I'm authorizing those individual businesses here in Montgomery County that fit into this category Friday to open up.
He said the vagueness of the order will not allow the county to keep businesses like beauty salons or gyms closed unless the governor makes specific changes to his order.
And if he does, great. We'll be glad to follow it. But until he does, we're going to do everything we can here in Montgomery County to keep Montgomery County moving.
Judge Mark Keough. A few days ago, Mark Keough came out and said that he doesn't agree with the governor's orders because it's too vague and that they won't be enforcing it, and salons, along with some other businesses, as of Friday, May 1st, are free to open. Made a calculated risk. There's a lot of gray area in this decision with respect to who wins between the governor and the judge, who enforces it, what are the licensing requirements, what are the ramifications of the licensing. If it goes bad, does it affect the salon, does it affect the stylist? What's the customer report going to be? What's the other franchisees report going to be? What's the other employees report going to be across the board? Made a decision because it is my belief that is in agreement with what the judge said. I said that it's too grave an area. The executive order that Governor Abbott put out states that people shall stay away from. It does not say that we should close. It doesn't say we have to close. So we opened. Did a couple of Facebook posts.
You know what? I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. The show goes on. This is my home. They're gonna need a fucking wrecking ball to take me out of here. They're gonna need to send in the National Guard, a fucking SWAT team, because I ain't going nowhere.
Did a group text message to the customers of the locations, and that was at 9:02 and 9:04 this morning. Within 30 minutes, we had 80 appointments, 80 appointments booked between the 2 salons, and we were booked for the entire day. By noon today, we were booked for the entire weekend. Doing haircuts and beard trims only, social distancing of every other station, 12-foot distance, no more than 10 people in the salon at any given time. The tent set up outside with chairs and bar stools, hand sanitizer, checking customers in, ensuring they weren't sick. Masks were being worn by the entire staff. It was fun. I'll tell you, the customers, I've never seen a group of customers so happy and ecstatic to be able to come to a salon. The opening day of a salon, grand opening day, it doesn't matter if it's a VIP night, whatever it is, they couldn't have been happier. The stylists that worked today made more money in tips today than they would normally in a couple of days. The stylists that worked today were ecstatic as well. They understood the calculated risk. I gave them my word I would protect them, and I had opportunity to prove that. Unfortunately, but opportunity to prove that, and it was successful. The pushback that we got was from a couple of other franchisees, some stylists that don't work for us, but we had a great day. Opened up the Magnolia store at 10 o'clock in the morning, store in Shenandoah at 11 o'clock in the morning. Approximately 3:30 in the afternoon, Montgomery County Sheriffs came to the Magnolia store. 3 Montgomery County Sheriffs came to the Magnolia store and provided me with a copy of the executive order, which we already had, and a printout of a guidance letter from the Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton. Conversation with them was something along the lines of me asking them to show me where the executive order states we have to close, which they admitted they could not do. Going through the guidance letter, none of them understood that the guidance letter was wrote to Mr. Matt Sabista, who's the county judge for Brazoria County. This guidance letter that they provided, Montgomery County Sheriff's Office provided a guidance letter that wasn't even for Montgomery County. There was no letter issued by Ken Paxton or the governor for Montgomery County at all, and they admitted that. In conversations with them, Montgomery County Sheriff's Office has a punch list, essentially a checklist of the order with which to talk to the business owner and the business about this. And the first step is approach the business, inform them that they need to be closed. If they comply, then it's done. If they disagree, then they have to call the supervisor. That's where they came with the supervisor. Now the supervisor comes, and the option is, if we agree, then we close down. If we don't agree, then the supervisor writes every single person in the establishment, staff, customers, $8,000 fine, and I gotta go to jail. So after the conversation with the sheriff's department over a several minute period of time frame, which was a cordial conversation, they're great guys, I made the decision that although I disagree with their interpretation and the office's interpretation, I also disagree with the letter from Ken Paxton, and I disagree with the language from Governor Abbott. I'm a citizen of Montgomery County, and I'm a law-abiding one. And at the end of the day, I can have willful disobedience while at the same time complying with the rule of law, even if it's a law I don't disagree with, a law that I don't agree with. So I complied with Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, and we closed the Magnolia store down, approximately 3:30. In that conversation, they agreed several times they don't agree with the law. They don't agree with the gray area of it. They wish there was more clarity. They have better things to do. They agreed they have better things to do, like stop home crimes and domestic violence and domestic assaults, robberies. All these things are happening in excess, and they're worried about shutting down a hair salon for doing a valid business, a business with which we have a license for, with which we have an occupancy certificate for. But nonetheless, complied. Got a phone call a few minutes later from Wes, and City of Shenandoah Police Department were 3 cops coming to the location. So left the Magnolia store, came over here. Essentially the exact same conversation. Repeated their premise around the executive order, repeated the exact same guidance letter. Also, they did not know that the guidance letter was for a county that is not Montgomery County. They agreed that they don't agree with it. They agreed it's too vague. They agreed the gray area. One of the cops even made the position argument that when he's on traffic patrol, it's black and white.
Oh, because what's he still doing with the black and white? You go and we steal $100 worth of stuff, see him up, I know what to charge you with, let's go. This is just, this almost isn't what my job's about, you know what I mean?
Well, another cop thought it was a shame that I was getting treated, and our stylists were getting treated like drug dealers. Because this is how they usually go 3 cops deep into a place, is for drug dealers. We were trying to cut hair. Again, with a valid license, again, with a valid occupancy certificate. But again, in our stance of our willful disobedience against this order, but also our desire to comply with the local law enforcement, we shut the location down. We were open up for 5.5 hours at the Shenandoah store, 5.5 hours at the Magnolia store. We did as much in sales per hour than we would have done on our business days of the week. Customers were ecstatic. Staff was happier than could be. No one got in trouble. But we're going to take the position now that we will not be open for the foreseeable future until the Attorney General writes the executive order in a way that can be read accurately for us simple folk that aren't in a political office. Both of the jurisdictions informed us that they only came out because of complaints. When pressed harder, both told us that the complaints were from stylists. The exact wording was, It was an anonymous complaint, but they told us they were also stylists, which is kind of embarrassing. That a competing stylist, not one of our own stylists competing, I don't even know if it was one of our own or not, but a stylist in general would take the position that since they can't be to work, or since they're not comfortable working, they would try to bring other business owners and other stylists down. And that's not how we win together. That's embarrassing. There's a lot of things I don't agree with in the salon industry, a lot of practices, a lot of quality, a lot of techniques, but I don't have the ability or the desire to try to dictate what they think they can do in a lawful setting. So I'm kind of disappointed in a few people in the industry that took the position that they could rise themselves up by trying to bring us down, when our entire intent here was to push our industry forward more and fight for us to be able to reopen. The opportunity to reopen, not the requirement. The opportunity for us to be able to reopen. The opportunity for our stylists to go back to work, not the requirement. The opportunity for our customers to come back in, not the requirement. So it's a sad day when there's infighting amongst our industry. Customers, they're great today.
Yeah, great. Not a single bad word said. Everyone, speaking of customers, that hasn't stopped all day. They've been calling since 9:02, but every customer has been overly excited that we're here and much appreciative. And even to the surprise of, unfortunately, having to call hundreds of clients back that we had scheduled all the way up through Tuesday, and having to call them and let them know that we were having to cancel that appointment. Not one bad thing said as we're calling to cancel it. Nothing but thank yous and thanks for getting out there and trying to get us in and trying to open up. So that was definitely a fresh breath there, having to regret calling customers to cancel appointments, but getting nothing but good words from them.
The phone's literally been ringing off the hook.
It has.
Both locations, nonstop. I would say that each location has probably got 200 phone calls today.
Probably would have got more, but the phone rang so much and we were on it so much, setting appointments, that phone died twice and we had to put it on the charger. So we did have customers pull up because they couldn't get through because the phone literally died. It was being used so much. 3
customers that came to mind for me today. One is a guy named Jason. Jason is the chief of staff for Montgomery County Judge Keough. The chief of staff works directly for the judge. Support of us, 100%. Unequivocal support, phone calls, emails. Came in today, got a haircut, had a drink, had a fantastic time. Appreciate us fighting the good fight, and was supposed to come back later on with a group of his colleagues to help us spread the word and fight the fight to be open. This is the chief of staff for the judge. Came into our location to get a haircut today. The second is another guy named Jason. Jason is a fire marshal for the city of Magnolia. The fire marshal for the city of Magnolia came into our Magnolia location today, got a haircut. He pulled up in his fire marshal truck, and at first I said, oh man, right, it's 11 in the morning, we only got an hour in. Gets out, he's talking on his phone for about 5 minutes, and then he comes up to the tent and says, hey, I had an appointment at 4:30, but I just had a schedule change anyway and get a haircut early. He came early to get a haircut. No issues around occupancy, no issues around safety. This is a fire marshal for a city that loved us. The third is one of our customers, his name was Rob. After the cops stated their case and told us we needed to close down, Rob said, and I quote, why don't you cut my hair, I'll go to jail for us both. Now, that's a customer. Kudos to Rob. Rob took a stand today. We politely rejected his stand, but kudos to Rob for taking the stand, that he understands this isn't right. That we took every safety precaution needed, we took every sanitary precaution needed. Other places were allowed to be open, we weren't. And Rob was ready to take a stand. Rob was ready to spend the weekend in Montgomery County Jail for his opportunity and right to get a haircut. Not the obligation, but just the opportunity to get a haircut. Told him we appreciate it, make sure he's the first one we call when we're ready to open up the right way, but I'm not of the position or the opinion that anybody needs to go to jail for a haircut. We can have some civil disobedience while we still work to comply with the law. Overall, I'm ecstatic for the day. It was a great day.
I mean, if I can add on to, you're talking about the three customers, I'll actually even take it to the Shenandoah police officers that did come in. 3 great guys. They made it a point before you got here that it was a shame that they had to come in here and do this, because as they came in here, they said they went out of their way to make sure to tell us, man, y'all are doing everything right. You're every other spot. Everyone has on their face mask. Everyone's sanitizing whenever they come in. You have a tent outside, so everyone's waiting outside. They're washing hands in between the station. And I didn't say that to any of them. I didn't have to try to argue with them or bring up like, hey, this is what we're doing. But this is what the police officers actually brought to my attention. Like, dude, it's not our opinion that we want to be here, that we want to be doing this, because y'all are not trying to sneak under the radar. Y'all are not trying to be sneaky about it and half-ass it. Y'all are doing everything right compared to a lot of other places that aren't. And they brought up the point that you can go to every restaurant, and they said this, not me, and me and you've had the discussions before, that you can go to any restaurant or any of these malls or other places, retail stores that are open, and guess what? You're handing your credit card to everyone. If you're not having to hand a credit card, you're having to pick up the pen at Home Depot, because I've been going to Home Depot, and sign and pick up the pen that everyone else picked up and sign. And we're not doing any of that stuff, that everything is completely hands-off on there, and that we are making sure that we're going above and beyond. So I will say that the Shenandoah Police Sheriff's Department that came in, those guys were great, even though they were doing something unfortunately that they were forced to do.
One point I feel compelled to bring up prior to any of this is on the executive order where it talks about hair salons specifically. I'm going to read the exact phrase. It says, people shall avoid visiting bars, gyms, public swimming pools, interactive amusement venues such as bowling alleys and video arcades, massage establishments, tattoo studios, piercing studios, or cosmetology salons. People shall avoid visiting. That's the word. It does not say hair salons are closed. It does not say bars are closed. It doesn't say massage parlors will remain closed. It doesn't say it's not safe for the public. So we're going to require that these establishments be closed. It says people shall avoid. And that's what we're working towards here. If we think through the news interviews that the governor gave, I'm cautious on what I'm saying here because I want to make sure it's not political, it's fact-based. This isn't a political conversation. Quite frankly, this isn't a coronavirus conversation to me. The news interviews that Governor Abbott gave after the executive order, the news interviews that Attorney General Ken Paxton gave after the executive order, the 2, 3, 4-page letter that the Attorney General put out clarifying Governor Abbott's executive order afterwards. The amount of time it took, the amount of energy it took, the amount of resources it took to go through all that hassle and trouble over news media outlets and interviews and conversations and emails and so on and so forth, and the amount of inundated phone calls that the governor's office got, that the county judges offices got, that the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulations offices got, versus the governor simply going through and clarifying the order. You could have very, very easily clarified the order, and instead of it saying people shall avoid, it could have said close them down. Would have taken, I don't know, a minute. So the curiosity has been heightened on why the executive order hasn't been amended to provide clarity for the local police department, for the sheriff's office, for the county judges, for the hair salons, the hairstyles, for the business owners and the franchisees. We tried today. We had a good day today. We'll be closed for the foreseeable future until our lovely governor, which I respect and will comply with, creates either another executive order or amends this one, allowing us to open up. And Westside, cheers to you for fighting the fight today. Onward.